welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while since we've last seen each other. I'm so sorry. This is my senior year of college and it's tough. I will just put it that way. But the semester's almost over. I almost have this degree and I've been doing a lot of research, if you know what I mean. Today is going to be really fun because we're going to play a game. I know whenever I played this game, I was really surprised by how badly I failed it. But there is no failing, because even if you get something wrong, you're going to learn the correct answer, and you're learning. And learning is winning, because knowledge is power. Anyway, without further ado, let's talk about sex. How this is going to work is it's going to be true or false. I'm going to read the statement. You have 3 seconds to answer it. It should only take 3 seconds because they're super easy. And then I will tell you if it's true or false and why. Ready? Okay, let's start. By the way, all of this information is coming from Life Planning Education by Advocates for Youth out of Washington, D.C. So, a teenager has to be 18 in order to get contraception from a clinic without a parent's consent. False! In all states in the United States, excluding Utah, a teenager of any age can go to a clinic and get contraception without parents' consent, without disclosing any information. It is entirely confidential. And the same thing goes for the treatment of STDs. You don't have to have a parent sign off. If you're under the age of 18, you can go and get those services. Of course, it is encouraged to talk to parents about what's going on, especially in the cases of STDs. That way you could get the help that you need and you're not doing it alone. But it is not required. Okay, number 2. A woman cannot get pregnant if she has sexual intercourse during her period. False. This is one that I have heard time and time again, and it's very scary how many people think that this is true. It's because people think that a woman can only get pregnant during the ovulation period, but that's really hard to determine because things like stress and illness can make it come on sooner or come on later. And the fact is you can get pregnant. A woman can get pregnant at any point in her cycle, and the cycle lasts all month, every month. So that means that a woman can get pregnant at all times, so it is so important to be using contraceptive measures if you're not trying to conceive. Number 3. Condoms are not very effective in preventing pregnancy and STDs. False. This is another one that I hear all the time. Aside from like condoms don't feel good, which is a completely different thing because they make so many different kinds of condoms. They make condoms that you don't feel it, or condoms that make it better than if you didn't have any at all. But the fact that they're not effective, so aside from abstinence, which is the only 100% way to avoid STDs and pregnancy, condoms are the most effective at preventing STDs because they are a barrier method, which means that there's no contact. If there's no contact, there's no real way to get the disease. So they are the most effective. As far as preventing pregnancy goes, there are certainly methods that are more effective than condoms, like female birth control, so the implant is my favorite, the IUD, which there will be a video about all those soon. But those are upwards of 97% effective. The condom, however, is 80% effective, assuming that it's being used correctly, because there is a correct way to put on a condom, but it's 80% effective in preventing pregnancy. So condoms are important. Okay. Males need to have sex to keep good health. Another false! I feel like all these are false. They're not, I promise. So it is healthy and normal for men and women and all all in between, to have sexual desires and feel the need to explore their sexuality, totally normal, totally healthy. However, it is very common to believe that you must, and especially men for some reason get this stereotype, that you have to have sex in order to be healthy. While human connection and touch is very important to especially emotional well-being, it's not necessary in order to lead a healthy lifestyle. I mean, asexual people exist. They don't have sex, and many of them are perfectly healthy, so it just doesn't add up, you know? Okay. There's no known cure for herpes. True! Finally a true one. Yeah, so, for those of you who don't know, herpes is a virus that can cause painful sores in the mouth, genitals, or anus, and other parts of the body. So it's kind of like warts is what it's most commonly associated with, or think of cold sores. So this is an incredibly common STD. I don't have the exact statistic right now, I wish I did, but it's more common than what you would think. The sores come and go, so once you have herpes, you kind of have the infection for life, but you don't always display the signs of it. So it's advised for women who have contracted herpes, who have the genital warts, to not pursue. It's dangerous to have a baby because it can lead to death if it's passed on to the infant. And as of right now, there is no cure for it. There are medicines to help like maintain the symptoms, but there's no way to get rid of it. And there's no shame in having STDs. It's a mistake that you learn from. And like I said, they are incredibly common. There should be no shaming or stigma around it because it's just the same as contracting some other kind of disease. And that's a completely different story that we will get into. Having a sexual experience with someone of the same sex makes you homosexual. False. Homosexuality is a label, and only you get to label yourself. You get to define what your sexual identity is or what your gender identity is. It's based on feelings, not behaviors. And these are enduring feelings. So if someone has a fling with their best friend of the same sex in college, because that's the stereotype, they could still be straight. That's how they identify. It just means that they were exploring their sexuality, which is entirely normal and healthy and part of growing up, but they can still identify as straight. They were just testing out what they like and what they don't like. Or alternatively, it might be the awakening that they needed to fully accept the fact that they are homosexual or pansexual or bisexual or any of the other sexuals that exist on the spectrum. So, oh, this is a fun one. Okay. All penises are about the same size when erect. True. Okay, this is one that I got wrong. I feel like most people got it wrong too, because I thought that they were all different shapes and sizes. That's just what I thought. But no. So, let me get scientific. The size of a penis when it is flaccid or soft has no bearing on its size when erect or hard. They have different sizes whenever they're soft, and you can visually see that, but it equals out whenever it's erect. I don't know how to explain this or why this happens, but that goes to show that you shouldn't be insecure about your size anyway, because it doesn't matter, and the size of your penis does not have anything to do with how good of a lover you are or how able you are to bear children. It's like your height. It doesn't matter. It isn't your character, you know, so it doesn't matter. And now, if you were insecure, you can feel better because you're probably the same size as your neighbor or your boss or your brother or that porn star that you watched last night. So that's good. Once a man gets aroused and has an erection, he must ejaculate to avoid harmful effects. False. So blue balls balls is technically real because if a man is aroused and does not ejaculate, there will be some discomfort, but it's temporary and it's not going to hurt you or him or them in the long run at all. It's just a mild feeling of discomfort, and once you stop being horny, the pain, the discomfort, it's not painful, the discomfort goes away. So no, yes and no, blue balls is and isn't a thing. Don't ever let someone use it as a way to manipulate and guilt you into having sex with them. Because physically, they're gonna be fine. And worst comes to worst, they can just go jack one off in the bathroom once you leave. So, yeah, that's my stance on that. Okay, I am so sorry about the lighting. My camera died. Okay, normal adolescents do not masturbate once they become sexually active. False. So, I wanted to bring this up because I have had a lot of people tell me that they think it is cheating or a reflection of their ability to perform sexually if their partner masturbates. This is not true. It's been reported that children start masturbating as early as age 5. This is because it is a perfectly normal and healthy behavior and a way to explore sexuality. It is absolutely not a reflection of your partner's sexual ability at all. It feels a lot different, I've heard and I've experienced. It's a completely different kind of orgasm, a completely different kind of pleasure, and it's normal. A woman with heavy discharge from her vagina probably has a sexually transmitted disease. False. So, growing up, I did not have a very good sexual health education, and my parents and I just didn't talk about this. So whenever I started experiencing discharge, I freaked out. I thought that there was something wrong with me. I thought somehow I had developed a disease even though I never had sex. It was really weird. So I went on Google, the most trusted health expertise in the world, and Google told me that it was normal, but I still didn't believe it. But it turns out, so all women have discharge. That's just how the vagina cleans itself. And discharge will be more or less, heavier, waterier. It fluctuates, and it's most common around ovulation time. That's whenever it's going to be the thickest, and that's a sign of a healthy vagina. So, a woman will always bleed and feel pain when she has vaginal intercourse for the first time. False. So, let me read a little bit from the paper. Most women have a hymen, a thin membrane that partially covers the vaginal entrance just inside the opening. Hymens vary in size and thickness, and some women are not born with one at all. Many hymens are torn or stretched during normal physical activity. A small amount of bleeding may occur during first vaginal intercourse if a woman's hymen has never been stretched or torn. So, the biggest misconception is that sex hurts. It's not supposed to hurt. If you are fully lubricated because you're having a good time, and assuming that you don't have any sexual issues physically, then it shouldn't hurt. I've said it before, it takes a woman about 15 minutes of foreplay to get lubricated and stimulated enough to where penetration will be pleasurable and not hurt. And I remember growing up being told, like, it's going to hurt, and that's normal. But it's not normal. It shouldn't hurt at all. That means that something's not being done right. Or it just could be a weird position. Like, there are definitely positions that I cannot have sex in because it does not feel good. And that's where communication is key. You need to be able to be confident enough in yourself to communicate with your partner when something isn't right. This includes the first time. So if it does hurt, say something. Add some lube. Like, there are so many different ways to fix this because it's not a part of, not usually, I should say, part of a first sexual experience. Last one. Men who rape generally rape strangers. False. This is a big one. So, Over half of all reported rapes are committed by men known to the women, either an acquaintance, friend, date, or relative. Many people believe that most rapes happen in deserted alleys or wooded areas when in fact, half of all rapes occur in the woman's house. And this, I feel like, also has a lot to do with how people define rape. At the end of it, it is when someone has said no or communicated no, they don't want to partake in sexual activity, and someone goes against that. They knowingly perform sexual acts on someone who has told them that they don't want to engage in those sexual acts. That is rape. This happens so common. And actually, my definition is kind of incorrect, because if someone is too drunk, too high, whatever it is, to properly consent and say yes, that's rape. You have just committed rape. If you rape someone who is not able to completely comprehend what's going on. So if you think about it in those terms, rape happens quite frequently. People don't want to admit it. And most of the time it's people that they know. Marital rape is a thing. You can be raped by someone that you've been with for 5 years. It doesn't matter. What matters is if a person says no, it means no, and that needs to be respected. Otherwise, you're a rapist. End of story. And it's not strangers off the street raping people. It's friends and family and boyfriends and girlfriends. And that's something that I think that we need to be talking about a hell of a lot more than what we are. So that is all that I have for you guys today. I hope that this was fun. Some of it wasn't so fun, but it should at least be informative. And I hope that you will be able to take this information and learn from it and grow from it and teach other people to dispel these myths that are potentially dangerous. Because this is something that we should be able to talk about, and it shouldn't be stigmatized, and it's important. So yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, and I will see you next time. Bye.